folks, we found a phone in the bathroom, so this is yours. Come, I'm going to put it back by Alex, okay?
Welcome to our worship service. We are glad to be together for an hour sharing the spiritual journey, and we are grateful that you're here. I'm Steve Runyon, this morning's worship associate, and I'm glad that you're here. This is a congregation that works to practice appreciation and acceptance. We look for ways to help each other in our spiritual growth and care for each other during our journeys through birth, childhood, youth, adulthood, middle age, and as beloved elders. Because worship is a shared experience, our spiritual practice includes listening. Because we all listen differently, we understand if you need to get up to leave for a conversation or to help someone with a need. If you are someone who gets overwhelmed by sound or talking, our parlor is a very quiet room where you're welcome to listen quietly. If you need to talk or help someone, you can watch and listen from the library. We have many announcements in our orders of service, both online and on paper. Please be sure to read through everything going on during this exciting week. And we do want to make a special announcement about the Storyteller Workshop, Awaken Your Hidden Storyteller, coming up on May 11th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. And this is free. And there is a sign-up sheet, which at the moment you can't have because it's in my hand. But it will be, where's Marjorie? Oh, okay. So Marjorie's in charge of this, so look for Marjorie, and she will help get you signed up if you're interested. If children, youth, and their families have questions about our religious education programming, please speak to Nick Walwork, our Director of Religious Education. You can find out more about our choir from our music director, Michael Rosen. Our AV technical director is Alex West. And our congregational administrator, Katie Julich, is here most weekdays and is happy to get your emails. Reverend Joel Miller is our interim minister, but today we are here with our ministerial candidate, Reverend Sasha Ostrom. If you're new here today, you've joined us on an unusual week. You're here when the congregation is in the process of choosing a new minister. And there will be a congregational meeting at 11:45 today to affirm Sasha as our new settled minister. Now we're going to have an announcement from Brooke Donaldson, co-chair of the Ministerial Search Committee.
Well, that was fun, wasn't it? We sincerely apologize for how inefficient that was getting everyone in, but it's not every year that you call a new minister and you have such an important election. And we believe in, the sovereignty of that election. So I appreciate everyone's patience while we make sure that all of the members have their ballots. The Ministerial Search Committee would like to thank you, all the members of the congregation, for making time to get to know Sasha and letting her to get to know us as a community, as individuals over this past week. Today, like Steve said, we will be meeting right after the service at 11:45 to call Reverend Sasha Ostrom, hopefully, to become our settled minister. We need everyone. If you're sitting in these seats right now, we need you to stay in these seats to come to this important meeting and vote. So, a vote to call requires a quorum of 96% of positive votes counted to be yes. and from the congregation for the vote to be successful to call her to our service. So what this means is if you are a member, you are eligible, and we hope you will stay to vote. We also have, I think we are well within our quorum looking out, but we also have a bunch of proxies we've already collected. If you are a member and you have been checked off and you have a ballot in your hand, it should be an index card, you need to stay in these seats right after. If you are a member and you do not have a ballot, we're going to send you back out at the end of the service to the table to make sure you get checked off and get a ballot, okay? No one should have more than one ballot. We're good, right? Okay. So, if you have any questions, there will be some members of the Ministerial Search Committee hanging out. And if you're a visitor, we invite you to stay and you can wait and you can enjoy the process of calling our next new minister, but you're just not able to vote. So essentially what's going to happen is we're going to do the voting process, make sure everyone has their ballots, collect those, and then they're going to be counted. And then hopefully we will have a new minister. All right. Enjoy the service, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Brooke, and once again, welcome to all of you on this special morning.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. And thank you for this absolutely wonderful candidating week that we've had together. I've had an amazing time getting to know all of you, and it is so good to be here once more on this special day. Whether you were here in this room in person, whether you were online, in the parlor, or in the library. So let's take a little bit of time now together to pause and prepare ourselves spiritually for this big morning. Let's allow ourselves to just slow down and open ourselves up to all that this sacred hour has to offer us. As we enter into worship this morning, I shared these words by Wendy Bartell and Lynn Gardner to help ground us and center our minds and our hearts for worship. And this is a responsive reading, so you are invited to share in the reading as shown on the slides. And I will begin. From our separate joys and struggles, we come here to find peace of balance, to find the blessing of restlessness. To follow, to lead, to teach, to learn, to join in the dance, to catch our breath, to give generously, to receive gratefully. If you are steady and composed, if we feel completely lost, if we don't know what we are feeling, this community has a place for us. Here we matter and we are loved. If you are steady and poised, if you feel completely lost, if you don't know what you feel, this community has a place for us. We matter, we are loved. Come, my friends, and let's worship together. In many Unitarian Universalist congregations, we light a chalice at the beginning of worship. We do this to honor the progressive religious values that guide us and to remind ourselves of all the promises that we make to each other about how we will create beloved community among us and out in the wider world. And if you have a chalice at home, I invite you to light it with us at this time as we join together in reading your affirmation. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
Please stand if you'd like.
Yeah, bring that up with you. Huh? What? Oh, it's not on again? All right. This is what happens when you're loud in life and you just assume you're always on a microphone. But I want to call the kids forward. We're going to talk about some things. 2 things, real quick. So can I sit down? And then I'm going to stand up in a second. But, all right. So first of all, did you guys get this handy dandy sheet when you walked in? All right, yeah. We're going to talk about favorite TV shows in a second. All right. On the back has some fun facts about voting. And so we're going to have a meeting afterwards. And it sounds like it's very boring to stay in a meeting with adults, but it's going to be very exciting. And I really want you guys to stay in because we're going to vote on, and you guys got to meet Reverend Sasha on Friday. We're going to vote on if we keep her, all right? So I want you guys to stand here and look at all these adults and let them know what you guys think. All right. Now, favorite TV shows. Bluey, is this your favorite TV show?
Yeah.
Do you know what? Okay. Do you know what my favorite TV show was growing up?
Bluey?
Not Bluey. Ninja Turtles. They're definitely up there. No, my favorite show when I was a little kid, when I was like your age. No, not Paw Patrol. We didn't have that. No. The opposite of Coco Melon. My favorite show when I was growing up was Mr. Rogers. How many people have seen Mr. Rogers? All right, there we go. Yeah. How many people have watched Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood? All right, little ones. Okay, so Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood comes from the same world as Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers was a live action, was a real person, and I'm going to do a whole service about him in a month. But one of the things I watched when I was a kid, so for you guys who have been paying attention to me, what is one of my favorite activities when I was younger? Football. I played football. But I also watched Mr. Rogers. And I had a lot of siblings, so I watched Mr. Rogers way older than people should be watching Mr. Rogers. Because they were always watching. Sometimes I do still watch them. Yeah. Because now I have kids and I can watch them with them. So I was watching Mr. Rogers one time, and he had on this guy named Lynn Swan. Does anyone know who Lynn Swan is? Any adults know who Lynn Swan is, right? He was a receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because Mr. Rogers lived near Pittsburgh. And he was hanging out with Lynn Swan, and I was watching. I was like, oh, a football player. I want to learn about football from this great football player. And guess what he and Mr. Rogers went and did to practice for football? Yeah, but do you know what activity they went and did to practice for football?
Football.
Nope, they didn't play football. Huh?
Rugby.
They didn't play rugby. They went to dance class. So there's this episode of Mr. Rogers and Lynn Swan, this all Hall of Fame receiver. They go to dance class. You know why? Because it was very important for Lynn Swan to learn agility and to be present in his body and learn how his body works. So that way when he gets on the field, he's even more agile and he can move better, right? It was very cool. So I watched that, and I also, someone who likes standing up on stage, like many of you who we saw last week, said, and my sisters had already doing dance class. So I enrolled myself in, well, my parents enrolled me in dance class, so I can learn agility and a little limelight. I was not very good at it, so it didn't last very long. But it was important for me to learn about being present with our bodies and stuff. So today, we are going to do a dance. Who here is signed up to be part of the dance? Alistair's going to help out. Mohan, I saw you practicing. There's a bunch of adults too. They're going to do a dance, right, as part of it, so we can kind of move and be part of our bodies. Now, some of you guys didn't sign up. Some of you all didn't sign up because you, like me, are probably not very good at dancing. That's fine. Reverend Sasha and Mohan and Alistair are going to come up and teach us one part that we're all going to participate in, okay? So can you guys stand up with me? And they're going to come up here. Stand up here, and then we're going to look at them, okay?
Right. So there is a line in the hymn that is going to be sung over and over, and that is, how can I keep from singing? So you're going to hear this in this hymn later, and the dancers will be up here doing the dance, but there are some motions all of us can do. So what we're going to do is we are going to imagine for a moment that we are taking in all that is life. We're pulling it into our bodies, just taking it all in, the good, the bad, the difficult, and we're letting it rise up in us as prayer. And then as song, you're going to lift your hands out and offer that to the world. So remember last week how we talked about ministry and how each of us has a ministry? So sometimes our ministry comes from paying attention to what's going on in the world and what's stirring up inside of us personally, and then we offer something to the world in response. And so every time you hear, how can I keep from singing? You're going to do this. How can I keep from singing? How can I keep from singing? And so during the dance, little do you know, you are all part of the liturgical dance. So I hope to see you all participating when we do that gesture, and you'll see it very clearly several times. I think it appears 4 times in the song. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so let's go sit back down. We'll get ready for that part, the meeting, all that stuff. All right? Very good.
This morning we come to this sacred place carrying much on our hearts, joys and sorrows too deep to hold alone. And so we share them with each other, with this community, so that they can be held by loving arms and hearts. This morning we have a few milestones and passages to share, and as I read them, I invite you to respond after each. We hold you in our hearts. Helene and Paul Firm are overjoyed to share the news of the arrival of their first grandchild, Ellie Eleanor Margaret Firm, born to parents Mike Firm and Rebecca O'Neill on Tuesday, April 23rd. Ellie surprised them by arriving a month early, but baby and mom are doing well and already heading home from the hospital by this weekend. The new grandparents are sorry to miss being at the fellowship on this special day, but are enjoying time in Houston with the new family. The new grandparents share that wild horses could not have kept them from the fellowship today, but baby Ellie had no problem getting them to Texas. Helene and Paul look forward to sharing photos and hugs in the near future. Donald Mark shares that Tom McGinnis attended gathering of men virtually from his hospice bed and sang an Irish song for us. We hold you in our hearts. And we have a gratitude for the beloved community, the UU dinner group and the UU movie group, both of which, for those two things, both of which met for the last few days, and gratitude for good fellowship and friends. We hold you in our hearts. And Diane Hart shares that yesterday we celebrated my Spare Moms Memorial at the Heartland, Vermont UU Church. That community brought me to this community. I am grateful for the connection. We hold you in our hearts. And please join me now in the spirit of meditation, prayer, or contemplation as works for you. Spirit of life and love, in which we live and move and have our being, and which lives and moves and has your being in us. Let us feel you now. Let your presence be known to us in the rhythm of our heartbeats and the rise and fall of our chests, as we draw in the breath of life and contribute to that great common life with each exhalation. Let us feel your presence in the people around us, people who are so many unique expressions of the divine. Let us feel your presence in our aching hearts or our tired bodies, and in our joyful hearts and energetic bodies too. Let us feel your presence in this caring community and each day as we move through our lives in the wider world. And we will now take a moment of silence for the prayers of your own hearts. So go ahead and close your eyes if you wish. Settle into your body. Breathe with one another. Feel the earth holding you. Feel this community holding you. Feel the spirit of love and life holding you, holding all of us, holding all. in the stillness of this moment together. Spirit of life and love, may our pain and sorrow ease. May our joy grow within us and brighten our days for years to come. May all of the joys and sorrows that we carry today, those spoken and those held in the silence of our hearts, be held in the warmth of this community. And may that warmth rush out in a great wave of compassion to fill the whole world with love and justice. Amen, and blessed be. And now will our dancers please come up and take your place with me on the chancel, and will the rest of you prepare for your great moment in liturgical dance. Take a brief moment to go ahead and find a position that looks good.
Our reflection this morning is by Jim Scott. I invite you to respond, "We raise our voices," after each statement. For all of life and the gifts we hold sacred, we raise our voices. For all our relations we will meet with compassion and grace, we raise our voices. For justice and peace and the health of all the cycle of life, we raise our voices. For the celebration of all who themselves cannot or may not, we raise our voices. For the remembrance of those who have taught, led, or inspired us, we raise our voices. for this moment in time that we are granted to share the wealth of each other's presence.
We raise our voices.
For the power of our collective voice and concerted action with vision and love.
We raise our voices.
And now we have a short video to show you from the Reverend Charles Laughlin, who will be sharing a few words for our stewardship campaign. We don't. Okay.
That's the fewest number of words.
If Charles were here, he would talk to you about the stewardship campaign. So we thank him for the thought. And
he will be here for the whole month of July. He's doing all this service
Yes.
there, so you can talk to him, meet him then.
yeah. So that'll be great. For any of you who don't know, Charles was our ministerial intern. Thank you. And we really enjoyed having him here. And now he's doing a great job as executive director of UU Faith Action in New Jersey. And that brings us to the offering. So if the choir will come forward, we'll prepare for this morning's offering. This is the time that we pause each Sunday to offer our gifts of financial support to this religious community. No gift you offer is insignificant because every person is important, and our participation in this ritual each week makes us strong together. The offering today will be split 50-50 with RAMP, Refugee Assistance Morris Partners. RAMP assists refugee families and individuals from countries in which their lives are threatened. Transition to productive lives in Morris County. You may give by placing your contribution in the offering plate or by using one of the methods on the screen. Thank you in advance for your generosity. Will the ushers please come forward and receive our gifts?
So a few moons ago, when I was ordering music for the remainder of the year, we had the candidating dates in the calendar, 21st and 28th, and we didn't. It could have been these days. The themes about these days were open-ended, and last week worked out with Earth Day. But so I just preemptively and tactfully chose an anthem for the final one, assuming that it would be something about moving forward and looking onward and continuing celebrating our future in the dance of life. And this anthem certainly could be danced to. And that is indeed what this anthem is for. It is a setting of I believe it's the Kansas State motto, but it's like all Latin terms and modems. It is timeless, and we will be singing in the Latin and the English. Ad astra per aspera, surum movere deinceps, sine cura post omnes. To the stars through difficulties, look upward, move forward, leave all cares behind.
What a joy it was to get to dance with some of you earlier. Dance has been part of my life for many years. I have dabbled mostly in ballet, but also some jazz, Irish step dance, and liturgical dance. I remember swaying gently in a ballet studio with other little kids, pretending to be a tree in the breeze. I remember the after-school dance club in junior high and the morning dance program throughout high school. I remember my glorious debut as a rat in the Nutcracker Ballet. I even found a way to keep the rhythm alive during seminary when I took a liturgical dance class with a bunch of feisty 80-year-old nuns from Ireland. And these days I dance on ice, twirling and spinning and leaping as a figure skater. But one of my favorite memories is performing in the Renaissance Festival with an Irish dance troupe. My experience with the troupe inspired a story that I would like to share with you. Some details are based on personal experience, we'll just say. Once upon a time, there lived 3 close friends who decided to create a dance troupe. Their names were Rosie, Joey, and Susie, and they called themselves the Harmony Dancers. No one in the entire world loved dance as much as them, and they were ready to leap to new heights in their performances. Rosie, a world-famous prima ballerina, took the lead. She quickly got to work creating beautiful ballet dances for the troupe. There was a problem, though. Rosie may have loved ballet, but Joey was a hip-hop dancer, and Susie liked to mix it up. They didn't want to only do ballet, and neither did most of the troupe's other dancers. And worse, Rosie was not just a prima ballerina, but also a bit of a prima donna. She didn't like to share the spotlight. It didn't take long for the other dancers to begin to feel overshadowed as Rosie leaped and twirled solo across the stage to thunderous applause from what should have been their fans. Something needed to change. So one day, the Harmony Dancers gathered in their studio. "Let's have no leaders," Joey proposed. "Let's make all decisions together." And that sounded way better than Rosie hogging the limelight. So they all joined hands in a circle, every step and spin up for discussion. And unity ruled. If everyone agreed, it was a go. And for a while, making every decision together worked really well for them. But wow, the debates. Ballet or breakdance, solo or ensemble, interpretive dance or something a little bit more traditional. And no one could agree on costume colors. Debates turned to delays, and by the time they finally put together one single dance, they'd missed several performances and lost some fans. So finally, Susie had a suggestion. "How about I work with you to create some dances based on your ideas?" And the dancers were ready for a change by that point, so they nodded in agreement, and Susie then became their choreographer. Susie talked to them about their vision for their dance troupe and what being a harmony dancer meant to each of them. They told her that they wanted harmony dancers to offer dances about the wholeness of life, the joys and the sorrows, and they wanted it to be about their friendship. They wanted it to be about the way that their fellow dancers leapt for joy with them in happy times and lifted them up in hard times. They wanted the troupe's dances to be about the give and take of life and community. And Susie watched the dancers closely, studying each person's special strengths and weaknesses. She explored possibilities with them and encouraged experimentation and growth. And then she created dances with them to express their vision, mixing different styles together to combine the best of ballet, hip-hop, and other dance disciplines. And so harmony dancers found their unique rhythm as a troupe. Each movement flowed into the next like water, and passion filled every single step. At last, they had created harmony. And so let's pause now and take a moment to stretch our bodies and raise our voices in song. We will sing verse 2 of hymn number 311, Let It Be a Dance. And let's go ahead and rise and body our spirit for this one. Shared ministry is a bit of a buzzword in Unitarian Universalist congregations these days. I've used it plenty of times over the past years, and I've heard many of you say it this past week. And yet it can mean wildly different things to different people. Some congregations might have Rosie's approach to shared ministry. Remember Rosie, the prima ballerina in my story. Some congregations, especially large congregations, are led by a strong visionary leader, usually a minister, but sometimes actually a board. This leader is usually empowered by the community to make all decisions with little input from others. In such congregations, people share in the ministry by volunteering for whatever tasks the leader invites them to participate in. Those tasks may be few in number and very rigidly defined. When such shared ministries work well, it is usually because the leader offers a compelling, inspiring vision. People feel like they are a part of the shared ministry because they truly believe in the vision. They are excited about the journey that the leader has invited them on, and they want to help make that journey successful. But they may not play much of a role in shaping the vision. And if the vision isn't something that they are fired up about, they may feel excluded and voiceless. So on the opposite end of shared ministry are congregations. These are often smaller congregations with Joey's leadership approach. Joey was the hip-hop dancer in the story who wanted the troupe to make all decisions with no leaders but collective decision-making. So congregations with Joey's approach to shared ministry give everyone in the community power to participate in every decision, however big or small. When volunteering for a task, even as part of a team, each individual volunteer might decide for themselves what shape the work will take. It's like a team of artists, each with their own paintbrush, working together to paint a mural. When they work together and develop a shared vision, the mural can become a masterpiece. But if everyone wants to paint something very different, it can end up looking a little bit messy. Most congregations fall someplace in between both of these kinds of shared ministry. They have leaders, but their leaders share power and the spotlight with others very widely in the community. Sometimes, like dancers moving across a stage, they might flow toward one style of shared ministry or another at times, depending on what is needed for the community at a particular time in congregational life. For example, a congregation's elected leaders, their board, may cast a vision based on their interpretation of the congregation's mission. And then they may delegate authority to a minister and to a staff to bring that vision to life through the creation of programs. But ideally, the board, the minister, staff, and other leaders in the congregation work in very close conversation with the congregation's members, especially those who are most impacted by a particular decision being made. They listen with care to the community's ideas and concerns, and they collaborate with stakeholders to craft a way forward that works for everybody. And before we think that shared ministry is something that only adults do, remember that kids can contribute too. On Friday, I got to meet with many of the kids here at the fellowship. Maybe some of you are here today. In fact, I've seen some of you here today. And one of you asked me if you would get to have a vote today when the congregation will decide whether to have me come here as your next minister. And while only kids who have been through your coming of age program are eligible to become members and to vote, all of you can have a voice in this congregation in other ways. For example, when I asked you about the things that you would like to do in worship, you gave me all kinds of really great ideas. And you can bet that I wrote your ideas down so that I will remember them later. This is your fellowship too, and you have great ideas about how we can do good ministry together. It's like Susie's approach to the harmony dancers in the story. Shared ministry weaves a diverse tapestry of unique talents, perspectives, and contributions into a beautiful whole. At times, we, you, or I might move into the spotlight to do the congregation's work of caring for people through life's joys and sorrows. At other times, we might move back so that others can shine in the spotlight as the congregation ministers to the world. And so let's go ahead and pause again to sing the next verse 3 of Let It Be a Dance. It's number 311, and for this one, let's go ahead and remain seated so we're not up and down all the time. When I started looking for a new congregation to serve, many things attracted me to your fellowship. Your desire for a shared ministry especially stood out. Before I ever became a minister, I was an empowered lay leader. I grew up in the Valley Unitarian Universalist congregation in Chandler, Arizona, a congregation of about 300 members. There I sang as a child in the youth choir. And by 16, I was leading ceremonies for our Sacred Earth Circle. By 19, I was planning and leading Sunday services alongside our minister. I eventually served on the board, the pastoral care team, the Justice Council, and the denominational connections team, and more. I was widely welcomed by my minister and my community to participate in congregational life and to share my gifts. And then at age 25, I went off to seminary to learn to be a minister because my experiences as a lay leader had been so inspirational, so powerful for me that I wanted to do ministry full time as a religious professional. I would not be who I am today without shared ministry. And I would not be standing here in this pulpit today before you now as you consider bringing me here as your minister and combining your light with mine, if not for shared ministry. I am a minister because once upon a time, my own minister shared her ministry with me and with other lay leaders in the congregation. I want to have a shared ministry with you here, and I believe after my conversations with so many of you this week that you want a shared ministry too. You don't want to just share authority, but also to roll up your sleeves with me and do this congregation's ministry together. I don't want, and I don't think you want, Rosie's idea of shared ministry from the story earlier, where I alone have the vision for this community and you just do whatever I want. I don't think we want Joey's idea of shared ministry either, where we invest our energies 1,000 different directions at once. I think we want a ministry where we put our heads and our hearts together to imagine what this community can be, and where we put our hands together to create it. Our world needs Unitarian Universalism. Over the years, I have met so many people who are here today, literally here, still alive on this planet today, because a Unitarian Universalist congregation offered them an affirming, welcoming, loving home when they needed it the very most. And our broader society needs this faith too. It needs the beacon of progressive values that we offer in our collective efforts to bring those values to life. Values like interdependence, equity, and pluralism. Our world yearns for more compassion, for love put into generous action to transform our society. And our world cries out for greater justice, championed by people with big hearts. Unitarian Universalism offers this and more. And it is through congregations like this one that Unitarian Universalists build a more loving, just, and sustainable world. I want to be part of your work and help you take it to new heights. I want to weave your vision for what this community can be into everything that we do together in the future. I want to discover each and every one of your gifts and help you find ways to offer them in service to this congregation's mission. I want to help you enrich your own lives, nurture this community, and transform a world deeply in need of transformation. My friends, we are all dancers in this grand performance called life. If we choose to dance together as minister and congregation, becoming each other's people, then let's move together in a dance of shared ministry. Let's celebrate our gifts and embrace the creativity and the passion here among us. Let's lift one another up, share the spotlight, and create a beautiful harmony together that resonates far beyond these walls. May our ministry be one that welcomes the diversity here among us and weaves it into a vibrant unity. And may that unity move us with passion and purpose into a bright new future for this fellowship. Amen. Blessed be, and may it be so.
If you'd all like to stand for this last verse, you're welcome to.
Please be seated. It is time now for us to bring our time of worship to a close, but as we extinguish this chalice flame, its light will continue to burn in our hearts. As we go out into our daily lives, I leave you with the words of V. Emil Gudmundsson. And now, may we have faith in life to do wise planting, that the generations may come to reap even more abundantly than we. May we be bold in bringing to fruition the golden dreams of human kinship and justice. This we ask, that the fields of promise become the fields of reality. Amen. Blessed be. May it be so.
get them, just because I can't see the list.